In this segment, I think it's just worth discussing just Labour constantly downplaying the single market and the customs union, which I know I've done videos in the past talking about why the UK can't just join the single market or whatever. We know that's true, but there are a lot of people who don't, and a lot of people who push the idea that Labour would try and rejoin the single market or whatever, and will do no work and will do no explanation really on why people are so against things like freedom of movement, because they only see freedom of movement as a way for them to get in the faster queue for holidays. That's it.
And what we're thinking, like, there's one market over here, there's another market over here. There's one way to ensure this, smoother trade and simpler processes. Maybe having one market. I'm struggling to think of the word. Can you help me?
Yeah, I know, and I campaign passionately to remain in the European Union, but a referendum and 2 subsequent general elections settled that question.
But this isn't about remaining in the European Union. There'll be some people genuinely who are thinking, why can't there be, and I'm not saying what's right or wrong here, but why can't there be an open debate about the single market, about the customs union?
Okay, I'll give you an open debate about the single market. We can't join it. We'd have to join EFTA if we wanted to join the single market, or you'd have to get an amendment to the EEA. That's not going to happen. So there's your open debate there. On the customs union, it's possible, but countries have a customs union with the EU and not the kind of customs union that the EU member states have. So I don't know if it's possible for us to join the full EU customs union. So that could be an interesting one. That's something worth actually bringing on experts to discuss.
Without this government trying to shut it down?
Well, the debate has been taking place non-stop in the run-up to and since the referendum.
But it doesn't feel like it is now, though, does it?
Well, because I think people have moved. People have moved on. The country's moved on. The EU's moved on. And let me tell you, not just here but in Brussels, there is no appetite to relitigate those arguments, to reopen things that have been settled.
I don't think that's true. I think the EU, based on what I've read recently, have been asking what does the UK want from these kind of negotiations and this reset, and the UK doesn't know. The EU have offered the kind of youth mobility scheme just to see where the UK's at, I think, on that kind of aspect of it, and the UK have kept declining it. So, I don't think it necessarily is fully closed. Obviously, we can't just rejoin the single market. I've covered that extensively. You're welcome, by the way, for the ones who didn't know, and, for the ones who had to correct the record after I discussed that with them, you're welcome. But fundamentally, we can't just rejoin it. The customs union is possible, but it's possible for people to have these kind of conversations around what can we do to kind of improve relations, and what kind of relationship do we want with the EU, apart from one that's really beneficial for the UK by, I don't know, rejoining the Dublin 3 agreement, or having a veterinary agreement, for example, that would benefit the UK mostly rather than the EU. I think with the youth mobility scheme, the EU see kind of cross migration as a really beneficial thing in terms of from a social perspective over anything. But the UK, Starmer's government have clearly said that there'll be no return to freedom of movement, and I think they see the youth mobility scheme as kind of a part of freedom of movement, even though it's evidently not. But I never said these people were smart.
Actually, it's about
Even if the damage is great.
It's about a new friendship.
Your own green paper says investment is reduced by 11% because of Brexit.
There's no doubt that what we warned about in advance of the referendum in terms of the impact on economic growth has come to pass, and that's a fact of life we have to deal with. I think the sweet spot is working as closely with the European Union where we can, but also showing the agility to work with and through partners in other markets as well. And there is...
The problem is, though, the EU has extremely high standards. And there's also the situation with Northern Ireland as well. So, you can do deals with other countries, but most likely those countries have way lower standards, or lower standards than the EU, with a few being exceptions to that rule. That's about it. So the more deals you do with countries that are kind of outside the EU bloc, the more chances that they're going to ask us to deregulate or allow the import of substandard foods.
There is that sweet spot there to unlock, and that will be the agile way in which we work.
So yeah, No Justice pointing out, Guy has a wallet full of inspected FBPE wallets, follow back pro EU, something like that. That's what it stands for. And I agree with that 100%. All of these people who kept saying vote for Labour, go back into the EU or join the single market, whatever. Yeah, I bet you feel real stupid now, huh? And that's something that I've been warning about for a while. That it doesn't work like that. But people don't want to hear the truth. Not like that, anyways. People want to hear, oh yeah, of course we can rejoin the EU. Why wouldn't they? They need, We do so much trade with them, things like that. We were the big three, you know, us, France, and Germany. All of this kind of nonsense, and you just like they've moved past us. They moved way past. The day we left is the day they moved beyond us. All they wanted was for us to pay our liabilities and whatever stuff we had to pay into the budget. That was about it. Other than that, they did not care. You know, if they were so concerned about us, they would have offered a much better trade deal than the bare bones trade deal that we got with them. That's what would have happened there. So, you know, they have moved past us. You know, we can't rejoin the single market. Can we rejoin the customs union? Possibly. That one I'm not 100% sure about. We can join a customs union. But, you know, this idea that people have just moved on, I don't think that's 100% true. You know, I think if politicians have this conversation, the people have this conversation. But I think every year during Easter, people will have that conversation. There'll be the same dude, the travel expert, who will do the same journey to kind of France and explain how much longer it takes because of Brexit. So I don't think necessarily the public are fully over this. I think there'll be flashpoints, you know, when you see during Christmas and things like that, or when there are shortages, or when you have to import loads of like turkeys from the EU, when you see massive queues of lorries and things like that. That's when the public really notice it, because of the problems of Brexit are visible. But other than that, like, I mean, this is his answer here is a joke. But I guess he wants to do the best that any third country can do, which I guess is true. But even then, you know, if we were going to do that, we'd do dynamic alignment rather than anything else. But we're choosing not to do that. So anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.